Welcome to Champagne Chit Chats with DJ Wildflower. This is your quick dive into the lives of incredible people working in the events and entertainment industry, and where we talk about their journeys and favorite moments and their top tips for creating unforgettable events. Next up is a multi-business owner, strategist, speaker, and coach, among many other things. It's my absolute pleasure to have her here today. Thank you for joining me, Kylie DaCosta.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
This is a real cliff note of what your skill set is. Let's just get started with a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, cool. It's been quite an adventure to get here, to be honest. Spending many years in corporate before leaving the corporate gig. 1 year today. I'm celebrating 1 year out of corporate today. So there you go.
Isn't it?
This is where I'm meant to be.
Congratulations.
Yes. Big deal. But I really come back from a customer experience and process engineering design background. Yeah, left corporate and decided, you know what? I love business ownership. I love working in business. I love growing and developing businesses. So I've been starting and buying them since leaving, which has been amazing. Now have two businesses I'm very proud of. The first is consulting. So we work with businesses in that customer experience and process engineering space, which is so much fun, and it's just such a love and passion. And then recently acquired the long-standing White River Design. So this is a beautiful branding agency, 22 years old.
Wow.
And we build brands with personality. So we work with sort of that middle level organization to make sure that they know who their brand is, because so many businesses just do not know. And then we help them build it, deploy it, and really embed it through their customer journey.
Fantastic. What led you to pursuing this? So tell me a little bit of background, you working in corporate for a long time, to then wanting to go out and actually be an entrepreneur and start your own business pursuits.
Yeah, it is a bit of a different jump.
It is.
But I do have quite entrepreneurial roots. So early on, I think I was like 19 at the time, I actually had my own dance studio. So I actually started my own dance studio at 19 while I was working in corporate and I was studying at the same time. I eventually ended up selling that and moving on. During corporate as well, I actually sold Tupperware. Can you believe that? I sold Tupperware and I loved it. I was bloody good at it too.
I can imagine. So you had a full-time job and a side hustle.
Yeah, I grew a team. I got free trips to Dubai. It was amazing.
Wow. So you're one of those like top performing
100%.
salespeople.
I got a Mini Cooper out of it. Fun fact, the most gorgeous black Mini Cooper with Tupperware hot pink on the side. It was great. So I've always had that spirit, and I know that I love to create things. I know that. So I was getting to a point in my corporate career where I have had a choice to make. Either I look to pursue that sort of CEO path, and did I want that, or do I want something else? So back into the last year, I thought, no, I think I want the CEO path, but I think I want it for me, and I want to build a team around me, do some amazing things.
So congratulations, A, for backing yourself, and B, for already 1 year down the path, having purchased two businesses. So I know a little bit about this only because we met at a business networking event, which is often how you get to meet people in business. If you don't work in the same industry, you end up sort of crossing over. Connected, I just thought you were amazing. We went for coffee, we chatted, and we had a lot overlapping kind of skills and ideas. But from what I know, what you do is really that higher level. So I work in the event execution space. Tell me a little bit about what you do and how that actually connects with the event industry.
Yeah, so we really focus on building brands and supporting brands to bring their personality out. So for us, we work with businesses.
I can see their brand personality.
You got the vibe? You got the vibe going on?
Yes.
So for us, a lot of our clients are in the event space, or they participate or create events, right? So we have a lot of clients who do trade shows, who do commercial or corporate events. And what we like to work with them on is to make sure that their brand is supporting them and helping them win in these events. So often you can go to an event where you think you know the brand. So you think you know what to expect. I know I feel like this with that brand. This is what I expect from that brand. This is the feeling and emotion I have. And then you go to the event. And you don't feel that.
The sad Oompa Loompas are there.
The sad Oompa Loompas are there. Either you don't feel anything, or worse, you feel something very counterintuitive. We know with consumers that when you have a confused consumer, they don't buy.
Yeah.
They won't engage. So whether you're trying to sell at an event, whether you're trying to engage, whether you're just trying to enjoy and create some camaraderie at an event, if your brand is not brought to life in that space, you are going to confuse them.
It's interesting because I feel like in this area, I've worked in experiential marketing for a long time and I work in events which market other products and brands.
Yeah.
And then by the nature of who we are in the modern era, there's a lot of marketing that you have to do for yourself. One of the things that I've only just started to understand is that you have to give someone a call to action or they don't know what to do. And I've never done that because I'm a DJ. But what's the call to action? Please book me, or like, what can you offer me? And I feel like this is a really new concept. That's not a new concept, but tell me a little bit about what this means for you, helping clients actually get to that clarity.
You are not alone. We hear this a lot, and often we hear from clients, I know I need a call to action, but I don't want to come across sales.
I want to be pushy,
desperate, or like,
correct.
Please buy my stuff. We hear that a lot.
Yeah.
And I will always challenge you on that, okay? And what I'm going to say is, do you believe you are shit hot at what you do?
You'll do all right.
Of course you are, right? Do you believe you can solve problems, create amazing events better than anyone else?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you believe that your clients are better off having dealt with you?
I would say yes.
So then you have an obligation.
Yeah.
You have an obligation.
Oh gosh, she's good. She's very empowering.
You have an obligation to get them to take action.
Yeah.
So often, consumers are
That's completely turning it on its head, isn't it?
It's not salesy. Stop thinking it of a sales thing. If you can go to bed every night, put your hand on your heart and know you are great at what you do, your clients are better off for having dealt with you, then it's your obligation to get them to pay attention.
Fantastic.
Because if you don't, they're going to go somewhere else. And you've just told me you're better than anyone else and that you can give them an experience that others can't.
Wow.
So we have to get out of that mindset of being really salesy. Yeah. I hear it so often. First of all, get out of the mindset. Get out of your own head, okay? The next thing is you need to make sure that your language and your offers align with who your brand is.
Yes.
Okay?
So what does that look like?
Yeah. So let's say every brand, whether it's personal brand or a business brand, has a particular personality or archetype is sometimes the language used. So let's use Harley Davidson. Great brand. Everyone's familiar with them. They are a great example of the rebel archetype, okay? So the rebel is anti-status quo, pushing the envelope. They might swear. There's some language there. They're not aggressive, but strong, bold images. If you ever saw an advertisement for Harley Davidson that was a softly spoken woman wearing florals saying, we have a new, I don't know anything about Harley Davidson bikes, but we have a new model and this is it. You'd either think it was a gag. Yeah. When is the guy in the leather, jacket coming in? Or what's going on here?
Yeah.
And that creates confusion, right? So when you think about your language in your offers, you've got over the salesy piece, okay? When you think about your language, you need to think what language not only speaks to your ideal client, but is articulated in a way that reflects who your brand is. Because if you pick language that is not right, you are going to confuse them.
Absolutely.
They're going to go, I've just had this great experience with DJ Wildflower. I know who she is. I know what to expect. But that doesn't make sense to me. And often consumers aren't that obvious. They're not that clear that they're realizing, but subconsciously we go, something doesn't feel right. So we don't take action. We don't buy. We don't sign up. We don't book you, whatever it is.
So the action is in action.
100%.
So no bookings, no sales, any of that sort of stuff.
100%.
So your job is to break down that barrier so that it's very clear, even understanding as well the mindset. Like, do you really believe that? Is that clear?
And it all starts with knowing who your brand is. If you do not know your brand personality, I guarantee you are confusing yourself. You're making internal decisions that perhaps are not aligned.
Yeah.
You're wasting time, money, and effort within your business. But most importantly, you're probably attracting your wrong client or you're confusing the hell out of them.
Yes.
And as a result, your bottom line's probably not where you want it to be.
Yeah.
So it starts with being really clear and being able to articulate that brand personality and then ruthlessly pursuing and embedding that right through every touch point.
So as an entrepreneur and a businesswoman, I imagine this is not a straightforward question, but I wanted to know about your current role and what your day-to-day looks like, knowing that your current role is managing a number of businesses. So just run me through what a typical day would look like for you.
So this is one thing I feel like I should be better at.
Yeah.
You know, you read all the books and you're like, I get up at 5 a.m. and I meditate and no, I'm not that person.
I'm not that person.
No.
either.
Maybe I should be that person. I don't know, right? Shout out if you are. You have more discipline than me. No, so I get up early. It's usually about 5:30. Usually I work quite early. So I like that. I like to knock out things before the meeting starts and what have you. Then depending on what's coming up, it could be a range of client meetings. It could be podcast episodes. It could be strategy sessions. Every day is so different between both businesses, which I love.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there, I'll see my other half because that's pretty important. And I do like to move. I like to try and exercise as much. Usually nighttime. I'm not one of these 6 a.m. people. It's just not right.
No. And do you find it's a way to kind of decompress as well?
100%. I feel like just my body's ready to exercise. I can disconnect a bit from the day. But also great to clear your head to think about what's coming tomorrow.
I agree.
Yeah.
A good walk is always 100%. A useful one.
Yeah.
Talking a little bit earlier about some of the things you have coming up, but I'd love to know about some of the speaking opportunities that you have coming up, including a trip to the States.
Yeah, it's kind of a big deal.
It's a big deal. I think when I spoke
exciting.
to you, you totally downplayed this. This is a big deal. So tell me about this.
Literally 14 days away. Not that I'm counting. Yeah, a little bit nervous. It is in Anaheim in the US, and it's at an event called Mega Success. So this is my language, kind of the Super Bowl, Oscars of business events.
Wow.
It's run by, I think he calls himself the world's #1 wealth coach, JT Fox. So he's quite a formidable entrepreneur. And I was fortunate enough to have an opportunity to spend some time on stage there. So it's
Not
definitely
fortunate enough. Let's take a step back. You're not buying a ticket and going, you are a speaker at the Super Bowl.
100%. Yes, I am.
Number one, congratulations.
No, thank
That's a
you.
huge thing.
It is a huge thing.
And how were you invited to speak at this event?
Yeah, so we basically had to go through a bit of a process with JT, make sure that we had good content to share and that I think we were the right fit. And yeah, now it's just been all preparation with him and his team to make sure we're ready, going to add value. And I'm going to be talking all things branding, customer experience and process.
Congratulations. What an extraordinary experience.
It's going to be very exciting.
2 weeks away, I'm sure preparation is going to be in high gear.
Yes.
What does an actual speaking event look like for you in terms of being up on stage? Do you have like speaker slides, like props? Like how do you actually facilitate an event like that?
Yeah, so in this particular event, I'm going to be being interviewed, much like this.
Oh, beautiful.
Yes, quite a different event.
Yeah.
Which I'm actually really excited by. I love these natural conversations. So really preparation for me has been, because we don't know what we're going to get asked either.
Great.
Yes.
Oh, I love that. So
that's
zero
gonna be fun.
preparation.
So preparation has included all sorts of monologues that I could maybe turn into some answers. That's absolutely been the preparation. I like it. I feel good. I've been working with my team a lot to make sure that I'm mentally prepared, that I'm feeling good. I've reached out to a whole lot of US businesses as well over there. I'm keen to move into the US market. It's going to be a whirlwind trip. It's 10 days. Their conference is 5 and it's going to be epic.
I can't wait to hear all about it. And I'm going to be watching the socials avidly to see what's coming up. And when you're there, you've got the trips of 5 days before of the event and 5 days afterwards. Are you going to be taking any downtime or is this just hardcore networking?
No, this is absolutely business. I'm literally staying about 1 kilometre from Disneyland. So the temptation is real. But no, I am here to hustle. I'm here to get deals done. I'm here to build some amazing brands.
I can see it. This is going to happen for you. So this is something that's coming up. But tell me a little bit about an event that you have already worked on, that you're quite a memorable moment that stands out to you.
Yeah, so I've been recently working with the formidable women, because that's what they are, at Go High Level.
Yes.
Go High Level women. So these are a group of savvy, powerful entrepreneurs who have come together to create an experience, because that's what it is, that I don't believe exists. And we've been working on their branding, which has been an amazing journey. They are such a beautiful example of the magician brand personality. So the magician is all about turning impossible things into possibilities, wowing, creating this sense of transformation. But they're also the ruler personality. So this is about power and, getting shit done, being very focused, making things happen kind of personality. So we've been building their brand, which has been amazing. And watching them deploy their brand in their events has been just so rewarding to watch. They've been hosting women's networking events, and it's the little things that have really made this brand stand out. I'll give you an example. The other night at one of their events, so to play to that magician, it's all about wow moments for clients. Something so simple. They wanted to give something away. So what they did was, rather than, having raffle tickets or something generic, under everyone's dinner plate, the winner had a little token, their little logo icon under their dinner plate. And to watch the entire room pick up their plate and go, wow, that's so cool. That's such a beautiful example of bringing their brand to life and to really making sure that their brand and experience are aligned.
That is really beautiful.
So simple.
Hearing you talk about it is very exciting because this is actually how we met. This is the launch of their original networking event. And as you have come in a role to actually facilitate their growth, because this was the kernel of the idea. This is the very early stages and it's very exciting to see where this evolves. This is one of the questions that I'm just really curious from like a marketer's perspective. You've already mentioned about 3 or 4 different brand personalities. What would you say is your brand personality?
So if I think about my personal brand, who is Kylie, I'm a very close mix of the magician, coupled very closely with the hero.
Ooh.
So the hero, I've already talked about the magician, transformative.
I felt magician vibes from you.
Yep, that's very common. But the hero is all about problem solving. I solve wicked problems. I help people see things that they can't. They've got an issue. I don't know what to do. Let me help you through that. So I'm very much a sort of 50-50 blend of both.
So people are kind of drawn to you for help. And then you do a magic trick.
That's pretty much it. That's it.
Pretty remarkable.
That's it. So yeah, that's my brand personality.
It's so interesting, and I'll have a little bit look at that because I feel like it's something. Once you understand the concept, you'll start to see different brands in that context. I find that really interesting. I wanted to ask you, what would you say is one of the most rewarding parts of your job?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it's the moment when a client sees their brand for their first time. It's quite often an emotional moment, and it should be, because we will have nailed the brand brief. But
so if they cry,
it's a good thing. It's a good thing. Words like, oh my God, words like, wow. Brand, whether it's a business brand or a personal brand, it should connect instantly. You should have a feeling, you should have an emotion, and that should align with the personality. So for me, when we have the privilege of presenting this beautiful brand to a client, watching their reaction is definitely a high point.
That would be so rewarding after all the work that goes in behind the scenes.
A lot of work goes in behind the scenes. To watch their reaction is just the epitome of happy moments for us.
Fantastic. And what would you say is the most challenging part of your role?
Yeah, so I think there's always a lot of moving pieces to this. So just the coordination effort, but also often people don't. So many clients will struggle with the thought that your brand is actually, certainly if it's a business brand, your brand is not about you. It's actually about your ideal client. So it's a bit different with a personal brand, but you think about any brand, clients struggle with the thought that I own a law firm, let's say. I want my business to be like this. It's like, yes, but who is your ideal client and what do they want? Because if we don't build a brand that attracts them, you might like it, but it's not going to bring you profitability or build that business that you want. So the frustration sometimes can be helping clients work through that disassociation to go, if you have a business brand, it's not about you, it's your client.
Yes. And I can imagine that being a really difficult conversation, especially if maybe it's a generational family brand, they're passing it down and they don't want to let it go.
Absolutely.
And your job is to actually tell them it's actually not in your interest to hold on to that anymore.
It's such an example where so many brands get to a point where they're actually not serving you anymore. They're not, your brand is your biggest asset, and it should be. And if it's not, it's time to think about changing it up a bit.
I'd love to know, I've heard about JT Fox and a couple of other entrepreneurs, but I'd love to know if there's someone in your career who's been a mentor or sort of shaped the direction of how you're working now.
How I'm working now, that's a really good question. I don't think there's any one person. There's definitely collective individuals I've met on the journey that have just sort of added to the bucket, right? You get different things from different people. And certainly this ride these last 12 months has been quite a journey, full of highs and full of, we won't call them lows, some opportunities, shall we say. So I don't think there's one person that has got me to here or sort of shaped me, but there's definitely people that I've gone, you have given me this that I didn't know I needed. You have given me this. You have given me that. So I think it's a bit of a melting pot of capability, because as you change and as we have different challenges, we need different things, right? So we get things from different people.
Absolutely. And in much the same way that even in this conversation, which is entirely just meant to be a little bit learning about you, I feel like I've picked up so many nuggets and creative ideas. And it's kind of that absorption of information of people that you meet and you align. And we met at a business networking function, immediately went for breakfast because we just had so much in common and we just got along. Yes. And also being women who work in business, you don't have colleagues a lot of the time. You're building a team, so you do. I have a production manager who works behind the scenes. But essentially, unless you make the effort to kind of reach out and connect, you don't necessarily get a chance to talk with other people like you do around the water cooler in a normal office about your day-to-day. It's kind of a different space.
It can be quite isolating, and it's certainly coming from that corporate space to this. It hit me very quickly that this is different and that you actually need to make an effort to reach out. But wow, is there value in doing that when you surround yourself with those people?
You do. And I'm always really impressed with the busiest people, like yourself included. You're going to the States in 2 weeks. You still make time, and I feel really appreciative. But I do find people like that, if you ask them and it comes from the right place, people will give their time. And I feel much the same way. I get people like young performers kind of reaching out, and I always try to make the time as well, because without the help that I've been given, contacts, the information,
you wouldn't be here.
I wouldn't be here. So I feel like it's a duty of care to kind of help people around us, much in the same way that we expect to be kind of move forward as well.
Absolutely.
So I'd love to know, as an entrepreneur, what is something that people wouldn't necessarily know or understand? People have an idea about what being an entrepreneur and running businesses. What's something that people wouldn't necessarily know about what it is to be an entrepreneur?
So there's probably two things that come to my mind straight away. You will have more days that suck than days that are amazing. That's the reality.
Yeah.
Now, when the highs are high, they are amazing. And when the lows are low, they're tough. So I think it's not all, pretty pictures on social media, and it's not all glamour, although that's part of the role.
I feel like you could be saying this about the events industry, because it is exactly
feels
the same.
right? You have a beautiful event, everything goes off, but you have the 4 months beforehand where everything is going pear-shaped and there's just chaos behind the scenes. No one talks about that stuff.
Yeah.
Trick for new players, just be aware, for every day of awesomeness, there's something else and challenges going on behind the scenes.
That's a fantastic piece of advice, which is actually what I wanted to ask you in addition, was what is something that you could advise? Is there another piece of advice or another tidbit you can suggest to someone wanting to get started in entertainment or events or entrepreneurial spaces?
I think the lesson for me that I would share is being in whether it's events, whether you want to pursue entrepreneurship, it is the ultimate bet on yourself. There's no one there to save you. There's no one there to dig you out when things go wrong. There are support networks you have. But at the end of the day, the buck stops with you. And that is so incredibly powerful and empowering. But it is going to challenge you, and it is going to make you feel uncomfortable, and you're going to have to deal with some things that you don't want to deal with, or maybe that you thought you fixed or it turns out you didn't. So my advice for anyone wanting to get into this space is be absolutely committed to being open to the fact you don't know everything. What you do know, you probably are going to have to change, and you are going to have to learn a lot on the fly. But that is incredibly empowering because it's on you, and you can do that.
And that's so insightful and also very empowering as well, once you do realize that you are responsible. There's no one to kind of the manager to say, I've made a mistake. You are the manager. There's no one to call in sick. You have to do the thing.
That's right.
All of this is just so interesting, because I feel like speaking to someone in the entrepreneurial space behind the scenes who actually helps the event space is really interesting for me, because having worked in the events entertainment industry for a long time, you get to work with all the frontline people. At the end of the day, it's the people who are the event managers, the operational, the techs. What you do is really that level above, that pre-organization, that planning, that understanding what the brand is to be able to execute. I'm in that sort of execution space. To wrap up, I'm asking each of my guests to provide a hashtag Wildflower party tip. So what is your best Wildflower party tip to create a great event?
I love that. I need this list that you're compiling. So I think no matter what kind of event it is, okay, please make sure when you are thinking about what the space looks like, feels like, is going to be experienced as, please put yourself in your client's shoes. It's not about you.
Yeah.
It's not about you. It is about the people, the customers, clients, whoever they are, who are going to be in that space. What purpose are they there for? How are you going to communicate to them? And how are you going to make this memorable for them?
That's a fantastic tip. Fantastic. On that note, I just wanted to thank you so much for joining me today for a champagne chit chat. A nice short little chat, and I look forward to seeing everything that happens for you in the next few months.
Thank you very much.
And I'll be watching like a hawk to see the Super Bowl. Chat.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you so much for joining me for a chit chat. Thank you so much for joining for a champagne chit chat. If you enjoyed, please make sure to follow on any of the relevant socials or podcast platforms. And remember, may the only pain in your life be champagne. Cheers.